Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. I'm my buddy Rhett. There she is. Oh man, okay, so I am working on my Saturday Say Hello project, and it's kind of interesting because, like, to me, it was just like, okay, so I need to sort of formalize how I transition from one project to another project and get rolling because this is like sort of a daily thing for me, right? Like every day when I start work, I transition from my life outside of work to my life within work, and then I have to come up to speed and figure out what I was doing yesterday and then continue today. But I realized that not everybody has that sort of role, and I didn't always have that sort of situation because that situation is something that I kind of picked up. Man, I'm freezing. Um, that I picked up like so I would say I can't remember when I first time I worked for CNN. I want to say it was like 2004 maybe. And in 2004, we had like this really complex Java thing going, and we were supposed to be like front end developers, and like basically we would get our system up and running with help from other engineers, and then we would never shut the computer down. It was like a desktop computer that was sat where it was sitting, and it never shut down. It was always on 24/7. And if the power ever came out, ever went out, then we had to get everything all set up again. That was just sort of, there was just a few years it was like that. That was probably the most stressful time of my life. Hang on one second. So yeah, that was without a doubt, I think from a coding perspective, probably the most difficult time of my life. It was so hard because basically like power would go out and then it was just like you're stuck. You're trying to get everything up and rolling again, trying to get as much as you can, and then you can finally start working again. So you have deadlines and and things are broken and whatever, right? So that was just sort of the reality. Most people I currently work with, and most people I've worked with over the last 15 years or so, that's their day to day. Their day to day is they leave their computer on and they bring it up and they try to continue where they left off yesterday. I have found that my life and my understanding and everything has been so much better ever since I started shutting down and restarting every day from scratch and getting my system up and running and paying very close attention as I get things up and running. So at first, I might have like a 5 pages of documentation to get my system up and running. And then after a while, it's just like a page of notes. And then next thing you know, it's just like I can just get everything up and running and I understand what's happening all the time. And so when someone says, "Oh, this is broken," I go, "Oh, is this running? Is that running? Oh, no, that runs here. Oh, no, that has to be deployed." Right? Like I understand all the different moving parts. I'm going to tell you, your life will be a lot better. At first, it's hard, but see, the thing is when you first start, that's when you have some grace. That's when you say, "Oh, I can't remember how to get this started," and all that. But if you've been working in there for 2 years and now you don't know how to do stuff, that you don't have the grace. So you want to take those hits early on. You're going to take hits for sure because your coworkers, they leave everything running. They may look like they're coming up to speed faster than you. Um, but the thing is you're probably going to be okay at first. But after a year, if you can't figure out, or 2 years, you can't figure out what you're doing, and then like you don't know how to get yourself rolling, then you can have real problems. Anyway, so now I know that I'm going to my Saturday Say Hello project. So I know that the very first thing I'll do is I will take my existing project. Let's see, where are you? There you go. And I'm going to stop this. This isn't always necessary. It's actually very rarely necessary, but every once in a while you need to do that. You need to do it. Um, looks like everything is saved, so then I'm going to go to recent and I'm going to go to say hello. I think I made a horrible architectural decision on say hello, but the decision ended up making me a much better developer. And that's because I think this. results panel and execution panel should have been one component that I reused. But instead I made it two components, but then they're almost identical. So I needed a service, but I needed the service to be scoped. And that one mistake opened the door for me to learn about new stuff. So I know I want to change directories cd to say hello UI. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I'm going to do npm start. I didn't remember that, but that makes sense. All right, so now we are running that. So we have a little bit of time. So now let's go back over to our package JSON. Nope, not our package JSON, to our README. And oh, so that is interesting. Okay, so actually I'm doing this different in my other project. My other project, I'm putting green check boxes next to things that I want to do. But here I'm putting green check boxes next to things I finished and a purple next to what I want to work on and then blank on what I haven't started. I think that's way better. It's kind of funny that I didn't remember that, but this is a way better system. Anyway, so we want to update the Angular data service to retrieve from the server. Okay, so last week we set up our server. Um, and I can't even remember, but it looks like it's sitting at, let's see, let's look up here. Oh, Word API. I don't even know where we put that, but it's word.php. So we should be able to find words.php in our history. There we go. There's one right there, right on there. All right. So that is our words for region, EN, language, or region ES, US for United States, and then language is EN. So I know that another one is MX, right? And I don't know what we return when we get, okay, so error, words not found, which makes sense. Okay, so basically we need this information. So I'm going to that. And I can't remember, we did cores. We did a thing for cores, so but I'm going to put this right here so that I know what my API is. It's probably something I should have got last time. All right, so now we're updating the Angular data service. Data service. So let's go back in here. Go in here. Up in here. And services. Angular data service. SH data service. All right. So I feel like just from experience, I know that I need to, let's leave that like that. That's gotta be like an empty string to start, like an empty, but I think we need another signal. Okay, so we've definitely come up with a better pattern since this. I don't, I think we might be using this, but we have started, what I started doing was making this private and read only. And that could be confusing because like it's an object. So that means I think all the read only means is that we can't destroy the object. It doesn't mean we can't alter the object. It just means that we can't destroy the object. And then we want to try to do this from memory. My last one I did this, like for the last video, I did this. So words, and this is a signal, and it's a read-only signal. And signals, I think, are by their nature read-only. String, and then I think it's like this. Words. I thought that's how I did that, but apparently I did something wrong. I don't know what the error is. Let's see what this error is saying. This is interesting. Is it? Okay. So anyways, I just looked at that in ChatGPT. There we go. Oh, I'm actually on that tab. So that's cool. Because I was like literally had to look it up completely for my last thing I was working on. And I found it. This is one of those things where it's such a bummer that ChatGPT can be so chatty sometimes. Um, it's this guy right here. This, oh, as read only. Missed that part. This words dot as. What did I do wrong? Yeah, it seems like this is all I need. Maybe it's because there we go. As read only. There we go. All right, that's a much better. I think that's a better thing. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's a much better thing. All right, so now, and I think everything should still work. Let's go to my local host. So it looks like it's still working because I think that's what populates this. All right, so now as read only. Um, let's go here. Let's save on that. And then what are we looking at? What are we looking at here? Now we want to get the data from the service. So we want to get words for locale. All right, so and then this thing's going to no, yeah. I don't know if locale's right for region language. And so we're going to get a region. It doesn't read very well, but which is a string. We're going to get a language, which is a string. Now the question, I guess, now that I'm thinking about this, then we aren't doing unit tests on this, so I'm going to return a void. And so at this point, what we want to do is we want to know what causes this and to fire console log. And I think what should cause it to fire is the routing. So basically, anytime the router changes, we want to call get words for region language. And we also want to have like a loading. So like private read only. And see, I kind of just did like a weird loading. It's like you see it a lot. It's not just me. Today, like when people are explaining things, they sort of start to explain and then they have to drop back and re-explain some of the thing and then drop back and that's exactly what we just did. We just like sort of drop back and I need a loading indicator. So by default, I think the loading is equal to false. I feel like most people usually will make it true, but false. Now, anytime, and now we need a read-only version of this. And see, so I had said earlier that when I do this like 10 times, I'll probably I'll be able to memorize it. And I'm starting to get there. This time I am like looking at the one below it. Boolean equals, and then this dot underscore loading dot as read only. And I do think that that is the best practice. And to me, that feels like a good best practice. All right, so we know that we're doing this. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to set this thing to underscore. We're going to say this dot underscore loading is equal to, nope, dot set true. Now it's like the way my brain was sort of configured, what I'd like to do, what I would love to have is like code in here, and then at the end, this dot underscore loading set false. All right, like that's what I would love to have, but it doesn't work that way. The way it works is this makes a call, and then that call comes back, and then when that call comes back, we set it to false. So it's not a nice linear thing. Um, Now you can use like await. So if we had like if then this called something else that didn't await, it would take care of that, and we would have to make this async. I'm kind of surprised that never took. It doesn't seem like it took though, but you will find code bases where it's full of awaits. So in some places, it just depends on, I guess, what kind of group of people you ended up with. Because there are places where you do see a lot of async awaits, but I don't think it's very common. I think the more common thing is to make a call um, to the API. Now, I don't have an API service. I'm wondering if I should create an API service. I think for now, I'm just going to try to just handle it in here. But I do know that I need, like the voice service does something very similar. It goes and gets voice based on the URL, but it doesn't look like we handle it here. Import declare voice service. Locale is writable signal. How does it know though? This region said, okay, so the routing service. See, it uses this routing service and it's saying, hey, if the region or the language change, then run that. So that's the effect we want. And we want this service. So that was not terribly obvious to me a second ago. Okay, I don't think we want that anymore. I don't think we want that anymore. It's crazy how these things just stack up, these tabs. I think I want the routing. I want those as right. All right. So in our data service, we want this routing service. And really, okay, so yeah, let's get our routing service first. And then yeah, the way we have to do that, we don't have inject yet. I find it to be like a really good filling to do this. Like to type in up here the one you want. It just gives me the sense of like I'm on the right path. I don't know if I am, but right now we want to pay very close attention at this point because it only screws up about once in 100 times, but boy, when it screws up, whew, it's confusing. So if you catch it one time trying to grab something from the wrong place, you literally made up for probably 100 times just paying attention. Um, all right, so we don't want this anymore. That was just for example. This is needs to come back after. Okay, so now I think the right way to do this is to create a constructor, and then like this was my muscle memory way of doing it right when signals first came out, but now that I noticed that you can, like that was a mistake on my part. Like you are typically um, you want to just access it directly from whatever function you're using it. But EFGHI effect, and then we'll come over here, and we're going to use our effect function. So an effect one, it can accept, I think, 2 parameters. I only use the first one, and that is a function that it's going to run anytime anything inside of it changes. I do not believe there's like a one-to-one JavaScript like lookup. Like, so like in TypeScript, like a lot of times you're writing TypeScript, right? And you're going to say, hey, you might use like some operator that doesn't exist in JavaScript yet, and then it does like sort of a mapping. It maps this TypeScript to that JavaScript. I think that's how almost all TypeScript transpiling works. This I don't think works anything like that. I think this is a very like it's doing something completely like that doesn't map. Like it's doing things in lots of places to make all these effects and stuff work. So I think I'm not sure. All right, so in our effect, we're saying that if the routing service, so SH, and it's kind of wild. The other thing that I thought was like you had to assign these things, and we actually do probably want to assign these 2 variables, um, but you don't have to do that. So language, I can't remember if a language is um, I think I'm just going to say it's a string, but I don't think that's right. I hope it's not right. What? I'm hoping that it's strong, more strongly typed than that. It's not the end of the world if it isn't. Oh, it doesn't look like it is. That's a bummer. Let's go to this thing, go to definition. It is just a string. I kind of, well, no, actually, now I get why I didn't do that. Because while there are limited number of languages and regions, the limit is huge. So not huge like scientifically, but more huge like dictionary. Like there's probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of languages and hundreds, maybe even thousands of regions. Um, but This dot region equals this dot. And man, like I just kind of had like this kind of fear that just showed up in my stomach because it's like, oh my God, how am I going to unit test this? And it's like, oh wait, I'm not doing unit tests on this one. So then we're going to call this dot get words for region and language. And we are going to pass that to here. Is it region? Now, if you've been doing coding in Angular for like before Angular 17, like if you were working like on Angular 14 or Angular 16, you will probably really be drawn to, if you want to paint the language on the screen, painting this one on. You do not want to do that. You want to paint this to the screen. A lot of your problems go away if you paint that on the screen instead of this, because Angular can get really weird. Um, if this changes multiple times before it has a chance to update the screen, you'll start getting weird bugs, and those weird bugs quite often show up after you do an upgrade. So it was working fine, perfectly fine, then you do an upgrade, and then you start getting those console errors. Um, and they can be, I've definitely run into some that I do all this timeouts in the world, no matter what I do, I cannot get them to go away. So, um, but like if you paint this on the screen, I've never seen that result in maybe I don't think I've ever seen it result in that. All right, this get words for region language. So this is going to get called anytime, and I'm going to change this from routing. While that is actually realistic, it is not the situation. Language, language, this dot language, and actually, I'm trying to get away from that. What I want to do, actually, yeah, let's just do this region. Since it's getting passed in, I might as well use the one that's passed in. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. And then this is region. And then this is language. All right. Console log. Yep. So now if I change my region to like EN for English US and we make it to ES, and then so now it's ES US. Right, so now we hit back. That's funny. That's interesting. WebSocket connection. So this is going to be like an error in like the build system, not like any of our code or anything like that. This is just saying that, hey, something that was trying to talk at the WebSocket level, which we're not doing anything with WebSockets at all, broke. And that's how WebSockets is how like Angular knows how to redraw stuff and all that on the screen. All right, so now we've got our language and our region. So what we need to do is we need to go out to our API. Should I do it? See, this is one of those hard things, right? Like, should I add another service called the SH API service that does API calls? Like, if there was more than like 200 lines of code in here, I would definitely be like, yes, absolutely. But I mean, where we only have literally 45 lines of code and almost all of it is some sort of boilerplate, like literally 11 lines are just pure import. So now we're down to 33, 34 lines. And then at service, this here, and then we got like at least 10 additional lines of white space and 10 additional lines of, or probably 5 or 6 additional lines of boilerplate. So we have hardly any actual code in here. So like creating another service, I don't know if it's worth it. Now, will the routing service ever need access to the API service? Probably not. Will the voice service ever need access to the API service? No. So, um, so that would have been another good reason to create a new service is so that I could expose it or create it. Well, it would have, I think it would have to be a service to be able to use the Angular get. So now we want to use Angular get. I rarely do this. I but I'm around it all the time, but I rarely do it. But I can't remember off the top of my head how to do like a get. And I like this being in its own thing. Man, that is going to be really brutal when I lose access to ChatGPT, which you know that's going to happen because man, there's just so many good things in here. It's just the way life is. And that I guess maybe even be how might be how I think it's OpenAI is the name of this organization. Like maybe that's how they get their hooks into you is by getting you to build all these things up, and then once you have like a really nice collection of chats and stuff with information that you need, like pulling the plug on you. And that's happened to me so many times and so many things that it just doesn't even bother me anymore. Um, but the first time you ever go through something like that, like I can remember at ADP when I worked at, that was kind of like the first kind of job that I had that was kind of like the way things are today, where there's just like a million things going on all the time. And I remember people's computers would decline that. People's computers would like be like would die, right? Like they'd get a blue screen of death and then their hard drive would crash and they would lost everything. And you would see them go through like these days and days and days of like emotional collapse where they realized, oh, okay, I'm getting a new computer. That's kind of cool. I'm going to get a new computer. Oh, wait, I don't know where my bookmarks are. All my bookmarks are gone. Oh, that sucks. And then they were like, oh, wait, I don't know. Like all those text files I had in this one folder, they're all gone now. Oh no. Oh my gosh, I lost all my pictures. I had like thousands of pictures in there. They're gone. Oh my gosh, I just lost. But it's the day that they realize they lost their emails that you could see them just completely melt down and just start crying and stuff. And it's just like that's just easy come, easy go. I mean, that's just the nature of life. Um, but anyway, but it's good to see it coming because yeah, when the day I log in and these don't load up or ChatGPT says give us $50 or give us $200 or give us $1,000 or you lose everything, it'll be like, okay, well, it's been a good run. I learned a lot. I definitely got more out of it than I put into it. So, um, but anyway, so now I'm trying to get information from here. Copy. Okay, so for one of my projects, I want to use Angular HTTP service to get this data. And it's not this data, this to get URL, get data from this URL. Now, ChatGPT would have been able to easily understand what I was saying, but I really want to write in such a way that like human beings, like when I'm interacting with my coworkers and stuff, that they would be able to understand how I write. I don't want to get into my own crazy special primitive language with um, that with ChatGPT. All right, so private read-only HTTP. Okay, so we need to inject our HTTP. Look at that. It's still pushing injectable. It'll be very interesting to see because even yesterday I was just like, hey, in the news, blah 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 blah, version Angular 22, they released a new version of service and blah 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 blah, and I want to do this, and it was like, no, they didn't. And it's been like over a month now, so I think it's called like the Frontier. Definitely not a Frontier that I'm interacting with. All right, so we need to inject the HTTP service. It's so weird that it's showing. Oh, I guess because nothing is using loading. Anyways, and so HTTP client, I believe, comes from Angular Core, but I'm not sure. Um, oh, it's Angular Common HTTP, and then I actually just really like doing it like this. I don't understand why they don't do it like this all the time. Like I feel like the name of the service should be the name of the service. Right? It's just one less thing to sort of mentally deal with. All right, so then let's go back to ChatGPT. Get words. Okay, so I want to say, so this is a little different. Typically, whatever you call it will so you return the observable and then they handle it there. But I feel like I want to set loading and stuff like that in here. Um, and so I think this is what I want to know. But I guess I could just do, I guess there's no reason not to do this though. Okay. That wasn't what I had in mind, but I think that's fine. So now we get words. And this is actually nice. Actually, I like this because um, I think I need another one of these. Um, I like this because if I do choose to go with an API in the future, like it'll be a lot easier to lift and shift this. Okay, so observable. I love this. Okay, so observable is can come from uh should come from ArcGIS. All right. Now word, I don't know if that is our type. Okay, so yeah, so they decided to, for some strange reason, oh, I see. It's because, wow, did it actually go look at the API? Okay, so a word is a name and the word word. Okay, so we need to create that interface. So again, we're working along, just doing our thing, and then we find out, oh, there's something we should do. Now, I think I have an interfaces. Yep, interfaces. Now, word options, match status. So export. I don't know. It seemed voice recognition interface is very, like it can be taken as very specific, but can also be taken as very, um, I'm just gonna call this an API word, word and string. Um, but it could also be very generic, like because this whole thing is voice recognition, but it could be about voice recognition, which this is not about voice recognition, but this entire application is about voice recognition. So, all right, so now we made this API word instead. I think that's better. I think that is nice because it kind of indicates that it came from the API. Maybe that may end up not being a useful thing, but now HTTP. Wow. Okay, because I decided I didn't like their name, so I made it HTTP client. And the only reason I made it HTTP client is because that is what that is. Okay. So now this is going to return an observable, and I don't know if I have to. Okay, so I'm going to say this dot get words, and then dot subscribe. And so basically when it's done getting a word, if it's successful, and I'm just going to assume it's successful, um, I'm giving it a function. I know there's like another way to do this with where you can send it like a success and a failure and a finally, but I never use that. Um, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This dot loading dot set false. All right, so when we call this, when this gets called, loading gets set to true. And then when it's done getting information from the database, loading gets set to false. Or from the API, loading gets set to false. I think that is clear as a sunny day. All right. So now we have our words. I think this is supposed to be a result, and this is an array of words. Array of API words. And oh, it's an array, not well. Oh yeah. So we get a whole array of them, not just one. And now we want to set our words up like this. Okay, so const words. Now we need to deal with also the error because it could be an error that comes back. So I don't know exactly how to do that. Words. Now, which is a string, an array of strings. So if we were to go to an unsupported URL, this would probably die, so we don't want that. Result dot. And I think what we want to do is we want to use a array operator called map. And so what map will do is it will return a mapped value. And it's going to get an API word, which is of type API word that we just defined. And it's going to return, we don't even need these, API word dot word. So, and I don't know why we have this. Do we need that? But it looks like we need this. No. All right, what am I doing wrong? API word dot word words. Oh, it's not. It's supposed to be a string, an array of strings. All right. So that's and see that is so nice, right? Like that saved me a lot. For me, this is really easy to read, but I do remember when all of this kind of this all these new array operators first came out. This being very difficult for me to read. Um, so alternatively, you could do this, and then you could put these inside of a like that, and then return. And that's the same thing. So this is just a shortcut version of this. All right, so now, and then loading is equal to false, right? So now we are loading data, and then we have an array of words, and now we want to set our stuff. What are they called? I don't remember what these things are called. Underscore words. And I think this, so normally what'll happen is it has a, why? Oh, dot set. Um, so normally what'll happen is you'll have like when you're dealing with like arrays and stuff like that, like sort of complex like objects and things like that, it can be really, really difficult to tell Angular that something changed within that object. But see this, we're actually creating a whole new string, a whole new string array, and it will actually, so Angular will not have a problem determining that this changed because there's like a whole new string array. So then we want to take this, and I think we will just want to make it an empty, and then this, I think all of this will just work. Let's just see. So we want hello, hi, greetings, hey, and hello, greetings. So it looks like we got it. Inspect, but we can't tell because they're the exact same words. But we did blank it out, so I want to actually see the console, not the network. Oh, I did want to see the network tab though. See if we get our call. I don't see our call. I don't see our console. And it is hanging right now. So I don't know what's happening. Did it build? Yeah. This is weird. Oh, that was really weird. All right, so now it's working. I guess it was building. Um, let's see if it all works. Greetings. And then howdy. Howdy. All right. So that's working. Um, it's so funny. I have my wife, she has a show and she has a guy named Jay that comes in from Australia all the time. And he always says that really famous Australian greeting. What is it? I can't even remember. It's like I don't know. But so the Australians have a very one. So he always like good day, mate. He says, and then I always respond with howdy, partner, because I feel like that's the most American hello greeting that we have. That is just it seems like it's uniquely American. All right, so now we do have it actually interacting and pulling information from the API. So that's a really good, but like ENMX doesn't exist, and I don't even know what happens. Okay, that was weird. What if I start with this? Okay, that's really weird. Didn't I got rid of it, right? All right, so this is not working at all. It's not working. You don't even work. So that starts off this way. Let's see our network call, and let's go just only. Oh, sorry, I'm looking off. That's off screen. Okay, so we got this one. Okay, so it went here, even though I think our language is MX. Oh, I think I must have hard coded the this region, this language, region, language, HTTP, and yep, yep. Because ChatGPT gave me exactly what I asked for. You know, ChatGPT doesn't always give you exactly what you asked for. Like yesterday when I was at work, it actually asked me for a I actually asked it to make me a function a specific way, and then it was like, well, okay, I mean, we could do that, but it seems like this might be a better way to do it. And I was like, holy crap, that was a much better way. All right, so we're replacing these with backticks so I can use this template. I think it's called template. I can't even remember what it's called, region. But like you can just do it like this. And I remember when this came out, I remember literally thinking, this is the one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe that we have this. And man, it has been one of my favorite features of like this that round of JavaScript improvements. Template literals. Words, region, and string. And see, like, region and language. And I mean, like, like you can like say, okay, I don't need these all to line up, all these words all to line up, but man, does it make life so much easier cognitively, and your brain can just get very confused. Okay, so now MX. Now did it? I wonder if it threw an error or not, because it seems like it should have thrown an error. Yeah. Well, that's oh yeah, ENN. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so we only want to call this if it has both. So I didn't even think of that, but like, see over here, it tried to. So this one was right, but it's weird that, oh, okay, so we went to MX and then a second one, but the order might not have been that right. So 404. Wonder, that's interesting. Okay, so first of all, we only want to call this function. This get words function should only get called, or I think this API should only get called if we have a language and a string. And this is one of the funny things about JavaScript is that a empty string, I believe, is falsy. So it's just so much easier instead of saying like if region, like this is just so much easier to write. And language. I think that'll work. And what we want to see is, I think we still get a 404, right? But um, it only ran it for this one and it just ignored it otherwise. Now I think that that loading needs to be only set to true. If there's a languages string, because we are not going to attempt to load. So we're saying if there's a language in a string, we're going to try to get information. We'll set loading to true, and then once we have our information back, we'll set loading to false. Okay, and then what I don't know is how to deal with the 404 error. Okay, so I think that's going to be the next week's task. It's a good task. It's a good task to be like fully focused on. Okay, so this is going to turn into 17. I started doing this at work, this exact thing at work. It has been a game changer for me. Um, okay, so now we want to update, handle 404 errors. Errors like from MX. Okay, so, and then that's what I'm going to work on Monday. I mean, next Saturday, and I'm done with that one. Whew. All right, so we're going to handle 404s. I probably should have remembered dealing with that, but I didn't. Um, but once we get a 404, like, first of all, do I handle the loading? Oh, so we already did this one. Did the service to retrieve new data when the route is changed. So that's done. Okay, and we want to do that until data is retrieved. So we're set up for this. We're perfectly set up for this one. Um, and then update the server to share a list of supported locales. Okay, so that will be back to the server again. Add 2 new locales. That's going to be super simple. update the UI with a nav to other supported locales. So that should be pretty straightforward. Add description, good afternoon, greeting, released after lunch. I want to add howdy partner. That's comma. It should be colon, not comma, colon. Greetings that is used in country western settings like rodeos. So that's kind of fun, right? Like that's going to be neat, and it'll be neat to do that with other languages and stuff. Like any like very, because I think Howdy Partner, I have definitely seen people and use that in real life, like real life. But when I have used it in seen it used in real life, it's always been in a very country western environment. So like at a rodeo, at like a cattle auction, um, any kind of horse show, quite often around horses is where you'll see that a lot. In the U.S. You won't see that like in Canada or Mexico, but like I don't, but they probably do have. I do watch a Canadian horse show a lot. That like a really cute Canadian movie called like Heartland, I think. It's about like a girl and her horses and stuff, and like it's like 21 seasons. Um, and that one I've never heard like a horse person's hello that's like Canadian. But anyways, so that is that. I thought we made excellent progress on that. I'm really happy with this project. Um, it's like I don't know. It'll be interesting because we are in the first day of August now, and it being the first day of August is really cool because that means there's 4 months left in the year. This might take 4 months. That'll be 16 sessions. I don't think this will take 16 sessions, but once this one's done, I will probably make this into like like a short, like a 1 day a week, very short, like 5 or 10 minute video of, hey, let's add something to that and just slowly kind of build up lots of hellos from all over the world. I just think that's going to be mentally very stimulating for me. Um, but anyways, happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.